Hot news time, Gloria Borger here. Time to just get into it. Unless we have a jingle, Reese. Oh, gosh dang it. Yesterday, we mentioned that Instagram was launching IGTV, a YouTube competitor for long-form vertical videos. Well, we're happy to announce that every episode of Hot News will be on IGTV as well. So be sure to give us a follow there if you prefer more mobile-oriented content. They also announced that they have 1 billion users worldwide, Instagram, not IGTV. So I expect to see at least 500 million views on each Hot News episode. Check it out. And then breaking news, Intel CEO resigns. Oh my goodness. In a move that has nothing to do with their sales or recent issues at Computex, Brian Krzanich, former head of Intel, has officially resigned from the Blue Giant. Unfortunately, it appears that he violated the company's non-fraternization policy that prohibits managers, including executives, from having relationships with individuals in the company. It appears that he had a consensual relationship with an employee some time back, which after investigation has led to his resignation for defying the company's code of conduct. As much as people would love to meme that this was about their failure at Computex with the 28-core CPU keg cooling fiasco, Sir Brian was in good standing with the company considering they were coming out of a fantastic first quarter financial report and expecting a record second quarter earnings. So they're kicking him to the curb because he screwed anything up besides some relationships. The CFO, Bob Swan, great name by the way, will be taking over until they can find a permanent replacement. As of the time of filming, this is a breaking news story, so be sure to check the sources in the description for any update, and we'll make sure to cover it in tomorrow's episode if there is any significant developments to the story. Okay, so I actually just finished recording Hot News, but there was a thing that I wanted to discuss with regards to the Intel CEO that you guys will likely bring up anyway, so I'm going to talk about it now to preempt your comments and hopefully engage in the discussion on my side with the video portion instead of doing it through the comments. Anyways, even though Intel could have been happy with the CEO for the past successes and the fact that they're expecting a great Q2, the failures at 10 nanometer or anything else that is going on for the future of CPUs at Intel, I mean, even the Xeons look like they're not going to be that great. They don't really have a high-end desktop competitor for Threadripper 2, and in fact, Threadripper 2 is supposed to be competing with the next-gen Intel CPUs. That's kind of what they were positioning for, and the fact that they're not making any headway with regards to that could be, writing on the wall for Mr. Krzanich, that it was something that was obviously going to have to happen, and they're maybe using this as an out. It's a possibility. It's something that I probably wouldn't give too much credence to, but it is something that, I thought you guys would potentially bring up, because it is a slight possibility that their future doesn't look bright, even though 2018 might look great for them. And so that's why they use this opportunity to get rid of Mr. Krzanich as the CEO, but it wasn't necessarily tied to the infraction that he caused by having a relationship with somebody. Consensual relationship though, so that's at least partially positive. Anyways, yeah, so I'm signing out of this awkward little segment that was not pre-planned. Bye. And speaking of CEOs though, in the actual most awkward segue, Nvidia has Titan V CEO edition GPUs. So at the Computer Vision and Pattern Recognition Conference, also known as the beginning of the development of our robot overlords, that took place yesterday in Utah, Sir Jensen handed out 20 limited edition Titan Vs to randomly selected participants. It appears that the CEO edition Titan V is only special because it bears the signature of Mr. Jensen himself, which is actually a fantastic thing to have considering he's literally going to go down in history as the person who made Skynet possible. So, true collector's item here. And then speaking of collecting GPUs, woo! Oh, that's a great segue. Nvidia is collecting unsold mining GPUs. Now, these aren't their P102, 104, or 106 dedicated mining cards, but rather Overstock from ambitious partners who thought they were going to sell more cards than they actually could. And in case you were wondering whether GPU companies were favoring miners, there's no clearer indication than this. According to a report out of Semi-Accurate, one of the top 3 Taiwan GPU OEMs has returned roughly 300,000, yes, 100,000 times 3, a lot of GPUs straight to Nvidia. And in case you're wondering, that's a freaking boat ton. Yes, that pun was worth it, absolutely. So it's not every day that Nvidia will just accept cards back from their partners. So the idea that they're receiving so many unsold GPUs should tell you all you need to know about the current state of the GPU market. Companies bet big on mining, forecasted way too big for their britches, probably thanks to Nvidia, which is why they're accepting them back, since they probably had a hand in the forecasting, and then they were left with the fallout of the collapse of cryptocurrencies. So the current video card market isn't healthy, but anyone with a brain could have told you that. The ramifications of this seem to come in the form of the delayed next-gen 11 series card. Not because Nvidia has a gigantic commanding lead over AMD, as so many of you thought, or because they're struggling with chip design, as many of you might have hypothesized, but because of cryptocurrency mining oversupply. Now, the exact practical outcome of this remains to be seen. We have no reports on which exact GPU chips these were returned, what variations and percentages they are, and when this gigantic returning spree actually took place. All of these factors could give us more insight into the issues that Nvidia is facing in releasing the next-gen cards. The report indicates that it seems like Nvidia has an excess stock of lower-end GPUs and that they're buying up GDDR5 in droves to hopefully sell these cards off. That would seem to fit with the tremendously odd release of the GTX 1050 Ti Lite, also known as the GTX 1050 3GB, which we talked about in this video up here. Nvidia releasing a new GPU so close to the launch of the rumored 11 series was a little baffling, but makes more sense if they're stuck on a pile of lower-end GPUs. This could also help explain the new GTX 1060s they were selling as well. In case you didn't hear, they used GTX 1070's core of GP104 and cut it down to be a 1060, no performance difference, so that they could potentially clear stock of their processing units while also making sure they're not infringing on the high-end 1180 when it launches and trying to come in and corner sales on the 1070, 1080, and 1080 Ti's, because if they sell the lower ones, a 1060 is not going to compete with an 1180 or an 1170. So semi-accurate also potentially ties this to the fact that Nvidia pulled out of the Hot Chips conference that we reported on a few weeks ago as well. But it's also possible that Nvidia removed themselves from this list because the leak wasn't supposed to happen and they don't want to give any more indication of the state of the next-gen GPUs. And they also potentially tied this to the fact that Jensen said at Computex that the next-gen announcement is a long time from now, but anybody who was in that room, because I definitely was, could tell that he was just getting frustrated with journalists asking about the next series and not giving an actual answer about when they're coming out. He was just telling us to shut up, basically. So the main takeaway here is that greedy GPU companies bet too hard on mining demand, and the general consumer is now paying because these companies can't sell enough of their 2-year-old designs. It's our fault for wanting something new or buying one of the thousands of cars that are flooding the used market. I mean, how dare we not want to pay more for a card now than when it launched 2 years ago? Selfish ingrates we all are. We each need to buy 15 GTX 1050s to help rectify Papa Nvidia's calamity. The fact that they can't SLI shouldn't matter. Put as many as you can into all of your systems. But we should be thankful, since today we get to celebrate the 70th anniversary of modern computing. Yes, my friends, it was 70 years ago today at 11 a.m. that the Manchester Baby was run on a room-scaled computer at Manchester University. Running at a blisteringly fast speed of 1,000 instructions per second, the Manchester Baby changed our lives forever by being the progenitor of the very object you're watching this video on. I'm leaving a link in the description for you to learn more about the Baby and the individuals who made it work. Check it out. Know where you've come from, you smartphone-wielding benefactor. But from the first computer program to now, we've come a long way, and it appears that Samsung has gone a little bit further than most since they unveiled their 7nm EUV lithography. So EUV, also known as extreme ultraviolet light lithography, has been in development for roughly 30 years. It creates the smallest FinFET processors to date, FinFET being an architectural design, and is 40% smaller than their current 10nm process that is used to make the flagship Snapdragon 845. It's a lot of fascinating and complicated technology that should help bring down the cost and increase performance on future processors. Again, link in the description for you to learn a lot more, since it's too detailed to go into here on Hot News. But also let us know if you want us to cover that more in depth in a later video. I don't know. let me know down in the comments. And then also in other Samsung news, they announced today 8 terabyte NVMe SSDs. So based on the next generation small form factor, they've packed 16 of Samsung's 512 gigabyte NAND setups into a single NVMe drive. Currently, they're only for data center usage, so don't expect to buy one anytime soon. And even at 8 terabytes per drive, they can still hit sequential read speeds of 3.1 gigabytes per second and sequential writes of 2 gigabytes per second. Absolute banana insanity. But you know what else is insane? Bithumb lost $31 million in a crypto hack. So yesterday, South Korean crypto exchange Bithumb, or Bithumb, I don't know, was bamboozled to the tune of 35 billion Korean won, equivalent to $31 million US. Bithumb is the 6th largest trading exchange in the world, so a hack here is particularly concerning, although it should be noted that this isn't the first one they've experienced. So multiple currencies were obtained in this hack, and there's a lot still for us to learn about it, but it appears that Ripple was a large portion of the hijacked coins. It appears that Bithumb will be repaying users, but we don't know anything more about how it happened or the depth of the hack or the exact breakdown of the currencies stolen. We'll be sure to update you here on Hot News as there's more info coming out. But speaking of a lot of money though, you can now view how much cash you've spent on Steam. It's a pretty simple process. Follow the link in the description and weep over all of the hard-earned Benjamins you've thrown away to Steam seasonal sale games that you've never installed, let alone played. My numbers here aren't egregious, I'm showing them to you guys, but that's because I'm a League of Legends pleb who refuses to spend money on video games. Although I'd still say about half of that amount is in my regret list. And then, while we're on the subject of video games, let's get through a few pieces of news in today's segment of Game Speedrun! So firstly, PUBG has sold 50 million copies. It's on sale right now to celebrate. It has 400 million users worldwide, including Android users, not just on the desktop side of things, and has a new map dropping tomorrow. It's still dying to Fortnite though. Secondly, the Fallout 76 beta. Yes, beta will be a timed Xbone exclusive. PC and PS4 will receive the beta later than the Xboners, and it's not clear if the game will have the same time delay as well, the full game, not just the beta. Also, it might be a Windows Store exclusive with no Steam version, which would be stupid. And then thirdly, there's a new graphics card benchmark program out. Check out Basemark for free at the link in the description and weep when you compare your system to that one guy who's running 15 1050s in faux SLI. You like that callback? Yeah, well, that wraps it up for today's segment of Game Speedrun. And that also actually wraps it up for today's episode of Hot News. Be sure to let me know what you thought of everything we talked about today down in those comments. Are you shocked at the Intel resignation? More indignant at miners because they've delayed the 11 series? Think it's stupid that Fallout 76 might not be on Steam? Let's have a conversation about anything and everything down below. And while you're down there, don't forget to hit that like button to show support for Hot News, or if you're on IGTV, to hit that little heart, because that would be dope. Also, please get subscribed to stay up to date on all of our tech-related content. It definitely makes it worth it for us to keep going. Anyways, I'm Brett with the UFD Tech channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see your smiling faces again later. Cheers.